for me, that would be great as well. All right, everyone can hear me, I would assume. So we're gonna get started with the power of Google My Business, okay? So with that, it's just what your Google My Business account profile can do for your business. Here's what we're gonna go over. About us, why you should care about this, some eye-opening statistics. John's gonna go ahead and go over some fundamental ranking factors, top 7 actionable tips, so how you can actually apply this to your business, and then any questions you may have. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, okay? If someone could mute themselves for me, it looks like Eric.
I think you can mute him, or Diane might be able to mute him if possible. But that's okay. I think it's taken care of now.
All right, cool. All right, so a little bit about us. So about Instig Marketing, we're a digital marketing agency focused on generating leads to local businesses through multiple online marketing channels, SEO through Google, Google Ads. We also do web design as well. Co-founded by myself, Brett, and my business partner sitting right next to me, John. We have a combined 15 years of digital marketing and sales experience. We've traveled the world learning digital marketing practices, and we're a proud member of Carmichael-Latip and ambassadors to the Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce. So that's just a little bit about our background. Now, as we get started as well, after each little subsection, we're going to open it up to questions. If you could go ahead and put those questions in the chat so we could get to those. If it's a longer-winded question, save it until the end, and we'll be able to answer that in great detail, okay? All right, so what is Google My Business? Google My Business is a free and easy to use tool for any type of business or organization to manage their online presence across Google. Sometimes it may be confusing, but we're gonna try to make that as user-friendly as possible because it's a very complex subject. So another example what Google My Business is, and I'm sure a lot of you who are on this webinar know that, is the Google Map Pack right here, those top 3. If you're really not in those top 3 positions, I doubt you will be getting those results. Here's another example of Google My Business, the Map Pack. Next thing, for those of you in Citrus Heights, I'm going to use an example for one of our clients, a Citrus Heights chiropractor. Dr. Doug from Sunrise Chiropractic. This guy is awesome. If you need your chiropractor, please go see him. Yeah, the man, magic. That's all I gotta say. So here's what I'm talking about here. The past 28 days, just through Google My Business, not his website, 57 people visited that through his Google My Business. 12 people requested directions through that. 68 people gave him a call just through the Google My Business profile, not including his website, any directories, any sort of resources like that. Now, as a business owner, if I were to ask you, hey, if you could generate those results for yourself, I think I would be focusing on this in my business to generate even more and more leads, because that's really what's important right now, especially during this time. Another example of the Google My Business is how are people finding him? Which would be chiropractor near me, chiropractor, his brand name, Sunrise Chiropractic. Another important one would be chiropractor for sciatica.
So these are just terms that people are finding his business with when they type into Google, right? Isn't that right, Brett?
Yeah, so they're typing in chiropractor for sciatica, and let's go back to this slide right here. They would find him in this Google Map Pack. So really nice to be able to list those be found for those type of keywords, or sciatica, or whatever it is. I do see Dr. I'm going to butcher your name, so I'm not going to say it. We receive phone calls frequently for Google My Business listing of being disconnected. I'll get to that, okay? And then to answer that question, John, could you answer this?
Okay.
All right. It looks like Dr. Doug is on. We're just talking all about you, man.
We'll save that towards the end.
Doctor, we're going to go ahead and save that question to the end because that's going to be a little more long-winded.
Or to the next section.
To the next section. Now, why should you care about this? All right, I hope I have your attention. 46% of all searches on Google are seeking local information, whereas 97% of search engine users searched online to find a local business. Right now, it is all about small business because we need to generate business, and that's why Google My Business is that important. 30% of Google mobile searches are related to the location. 72% of consumers who search for local businesses end up visiting stores within 5 miles or locations. And what I mean by that is when you go ahead and look for your chiropractor or your barber or your dentist or whoever it may be, because your Google My Business is doing well, most likely they're going to end up visiting it, which is awesome. Next thing, 72% of consumers say their first choice is to find information to local merchants. 86% of those people are going to look up that location of a business on Google Maps. So it's really important that everything is filled out in that Google My Business, and we're over the course of this webinar, we're going to go over as to why. And that I believe this is the last reason. 78, this is the most important one, I feel. 78% of local mobile searches result in an in-store purchase. So just because of that Google My Business alone, they're going to end up doing business with you as a customer, which is ultimately what you want. 50% of more than near me searches, and you saw that in my previous slide where Dr. Doug's biggest keyword was chiropractor near me. And you'll see throughout our presentation why that's important to include that type of verbiage in your Google My Business profile. So do you want to?
What was the question?
Doctor has a question. We receive phone calls frequently for Google My Business listings, and it's at risk of being disconnected. Is that a valid concern?
What's at risk of being disconnected?
Yeah, could you, if you could clarify on that? And then second question, is Google paid ads a good strategy? I can answer that. That is an amazing strategy to generate business. Are you a dentist? If you could answer that as well. And feel free to unmute yourself if you'd like. I'm gonna wait like 2 seconds. Why would it be, do you have an idea why that may be disconnected? Maybe it's a...
I'm not sure if she's talking about the phone call or the Google My Business. I'm not sure exactly. She needs to clarify.
Yeah, if you could clarify on that, and then we could clarify later. I'm going to give it like 10 more seconds. If anybody else has a question, feel free to jump in.
And if you could type it in whenever. We'll get to it towards the end anyway.
Yeah, type that in as well. All right, well, I'm going to move on to the next question. The next part of our webinar. All right, so John's going to cover the fundamentals of ranking your Google My Business in Google Maps. So John, take this away.
All right, great. So like Brett was explaining,
we've known each other for 15 years.
There's a difference between your map pack and the website organic search results that come right below. So throughout this webinar, keep in mind that we're talking about getting your business more web exposure via the map pack right here. And when you click on more places, you also want to be found there. All right, so Moz is a SEO internet marketing resource that conducted a research case study about what were the main ranking factors for Google My Business. And as you can see, they broke it down into a pie chart, and we're going to cover each one of these factors here in just a few moments. But you'll notice that the first Google ranking factor is the Google My Business signals, which has a lot to do with proximity of your Google My Business address, your categories that are in your I'm just going to call it GMB from now on, your GMB settings, and whether or not your keyword exists in the title. So here's an example of Dr. Doug. You can see him ranking #1 here. You can see as well that from a proximity point of view, he's in Citrus Heights. He's a chiropractor in Citrus Heights, and he's right here in the center, giving him one of the best advantages from a proximity standpoint. His competitors are more up north and more down south, and everybody else you could see are these little red dots, but they're not right in the center like Dr. Doug is. And that is a very, one of the biggest ranking factors for being, for Google My Business. So let me break that down even further. Let's say you're a plumber or a business that conducts a service at other people's location, right? You don't really have a business address that people come to. In that case, it's going to be a tougher road to get ranked higher in the city that you wish. So, for example, if you're a plumber who's who you're based out of, say, Rancho Cordova, but you want your Google My Business to rank in the top of the search engines in Citrus Heights, well, that's going to be really challenging. In that case, I would advise a client in that regard to start renting an office in Citrus Heights and then change the address in your Google My Business, because it's that big of a ranking factor. And let's go back here real quick, because this signal also said the keyword in the business title. You can see that all the top 3 rankers here have a keyword in the title. A keyword is just a search phrase that people type into Google. And you can see all of these have in common, what all of these have in common is chiropractic. And Google is smart enough to associate that with chiropractor, chiropractors, things of that nature. So if your business title includes either your industry keyword or your city keyword in that title, that puts you at an advantageous spot as well. Okay, so this accounts for 25% of all the total ranking factors. So the second ranking factor are link signals. So this one's a little bit more techy to understand, but I'm going to try to break it down. It accounts for 16.53% of the overall ranking factors. Now, link signals are just other websites pointing back to your site. So hyperlinking from, let's say, Forbes.com. If your website that's associated with your GMB gets a backlink from a strong website like that, or even the Citrus Heights Chamber of Commerce, and gets a strong backlink, as we call it in the industry, well, Google My Business is going to notice that, and it's going to associate your website with being really strong in the eyes of Google. And if you can get a lot of backlinks that not only establish that your site is an authority, but also geo-relevance, then those also account for a big ranking factor, which is 16.53%. And Brett wants to add something.
Yeah, and to break it down even a little more, think of it like this, like in layman's terms. So you have your website right here. Think of it as like in high school, all right? If you wanted to be the popular kid, you needed to have cool friends. So you need to be friends, quote unquote, with those other websites like Forbes, Entrepreneur.com, other authoritative websites. And when Google sees that, that moves the needle through your Google My Business and then your SEO rankings when it comes to that Google rankings list, because ultimately you want to be top 10 in your local area for your category. Next thing John's going to cover is review signals.
Yeah, so review signals are pretty, they're pretty self-explanatory. Things like review quantity, review velocity, review diversity counts for 15.44% of the ranking factors. So this example here is for computer repair in Sacramento. You can see that the top rankers are, well, again, they all have the computer, well, not all of them, but you can see the first factor is still playing a role here, but let's focus in on the reviews. You can see that the first one has 158 reviews. The second one has 621. Tech2U has 621 reviews. So why are they ranking number 2, right? And not number 1? Well, this all comes back down to all of these ranking factors, the superset of these ranking factors. It's not just, let's get as many reviews as we can and we'll instantly be number 1. GMB takes a lot of things into account, as you can see from this example. So how do you get a lot of reviews like a Tech2U to your location, or a Yoga Bear? What a lot of companies do is what's called a reputation funnel. And this is, so what happens essentially is your customer gets sent an automated email ask or pitching them a survey, a customer satisfaction survey, basically, where they have an option in this email to say, hey, I really liked your services, or I didn't really like your services. So there's two hyperlinks in that email. And one, if they really are upset and they want to vent, well, they get taken to your landing page, your website, where they can only vent.
Yeah,
So
and think of
did
it
you-
like this. The customer is still ultimately always going to be right. Okay, they still get to vent their frustrations. They still get to tell you, hey, I didn't like how this was done. And your
Mhm.
customer still feels valued. And that's the most important part of this.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you want a benefit as well. And the second option, if they click that 5-star review, which is what you want, and we're gonna go deeper into that as well, go over that.
Yeah, so like Brett was saying, if they have a negative experience, they're going to be taken to a page that is private, and only they can see it, and they're going to leave a review thinking it's going to be published live onto your Google My Business or your Yelp and your Facebook, but it's really not. But we do give them or what a lot of companies do is give people an option to talk to a manager, for example, in that regard. But this negative review only ever reaches your internal team. And then if they do decide to give you a positive experience, guess what? We give them a link straight to your Google My Business. And then that's how a lot of these people or these companies get hundreds of reviews. I've seen 50 reviews in one day by setting up a reputation funnel in the past. And those type of results, you have to be a mature business to get that amount of results per your GMB. All right, so the fourth ranking factor here is on-page signals, counts for 13.82%. And this is really what it sounds like. What is going on on the web page that's associated to your Google My Business? And in this example, you see that we have Dr. Doug here, and we have in the title, we have Citrus Heights Chiropractor. On the sidebar, we have the address going on. We have the phone number. We have images, keywords throughout the body content. And you can see that it's all about chiropractic care. So Google My Business and the Google search engines are going to crawl this site, and they're going to associate, okay, this is an actual business. This is what they do. And that just strengthens the overall GMB ranking factor. Now, this is just a quick nerdy view of what this page looks like. Okay, so Google crawls this site, and these are just like, imagine them as chapters of a book. So the first chapter talks about, or the title of the book is called Citrus Heights Chiropractor. And then chapter 1, and then chapter 2 and 3, and so on and so forth, that's how Google My Business and Google read them. And you can see throughout these chapters, we have keywords within the header tags is what they're called, H2s, H3s, chiropractic care, treat at our chiropractic office, patient reviews, the brand name, Sunrise Chiropractic, and things of that nature. All right, so that's what's going on the page associated with Google My Business. And then throughout every page on Dr. Doug's site, we also included, I should say, his Google My Business map. So Google My Business will also crawl this basically they send out robots that read what that page is about, and they're going to be able to read the map encoding there.
Yeah. And we want to make sure that's included on every page. So there's a way to do that. That's something you can do yourself, or like a professional like ourselves can do as well.
Cool. All right. So the fifth signal here, citation signals, which accounts for 10.82% of the ranking factors. Now, this has to do with the directories or wherever you share your website that's associated with your Google My Business. One thing to keep in mind, you saw here NAP consistency, and Brett's going to talk about this in a few slides, but NAP consistency just has to do with the name of your business, the address of your business, and your phone number of your business. These three things are just abbreviated into NAP. And that needs to be consistent across the web because Google My Business takes this into account. Okay, so it's 10.82% ranking factor. And you can see that wherever you put your business, it needs to be, your name needs to be exactly as it is on your Google My Business profile. Your address needs to be the same as well. Your phone number needs to be the same on YP.com, on Yelp.com, on your Facebook page, on Better Business Bureau, etc. Wherever you post, you have an opportunity to include your name, address, and phone number. They need to be exactly as it appears on your GMB. All right, so number 6 here is behavioral signals. And this is basically how your the end user who's searching interacts with your Google My Business profile. So these are things such as click-through rates, mobile click-to-calls. So when someone searches, say, a jewelry store, a jewelry store in New York, whatever city this might be, how many times that person clicks on yours versus others in this 3-pack and in the full-on map listing, and also how many times people actually call your GMB. So you can see here that in mobile, the map pack does have a click to call phone icon. So if you can do that, so if you get more calls, that's great. That accounts for a ranking factor as well. All right. Personalization is a ranking factor. Items like business events, appointments, bookings, and other GMB settings. So this accounts for 5.8% of ranking factors. Things such as personalizing your description of your business in your GMB account settings. Things like updating the services that you offer at your business, amenities, offerings, awards. There's a lot of appointment URLs. There's a lot of things that you can play with in your Google My Business account settings. All right. I believe this is the last signal, and it accounts for 2.82%. So don't get too carried away with this. This is social signals, and that's really just how people engage with your GMB and your website via these social platforms, right? So if you are getting activity via Facebook or Twitter or even Reddit or LinkedIn, anything you see on the screen really, that is a boost in Google My Business's eyes for your GMB.
I'm sure this image forgot MySpace. It's still around.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Any questions so
Yeah,
far?
I'm gonna give 30 seconds for any questions someone may have. If you want to
I know that was a lot.
I know that was a lot to take in, and we have even more. So if anybody has a question, please say it now.
I have a question, guys. I was going to type, but I thought I would just unmute myself.
Yeah.
There's so many businesses, especially with the the COVID-19 atmosphere, that have had to pivot. We did many years ago, moving to a pickup and delivery service. So your comments about the plumber who really had large target audience in Granite Bay or really rung a bell. I mean, it's just impossible for me to open up dry cleaners in El Dorado Hills, all these areas, but we still service all these areas with our pick up delivery service. So are there any other ways that you can get, I guess just paying for clicks, dry cleaners, El Dorado Hills? Is that really the only way you can get people that, because if they type dry cleaners near me, they're not going to come up with an operation that has their home base in Citrus Heights?
Yeah, yours is a tricky situation. Usually, if you were a plumber, for instance, I would say, you have two options, Mr. Client. You have you can either open up a small office there in the location that you want to rank, or you can go a riskier route and buy a fake GMB address, which is not what we would recommend. A lot of people companies do that because the customer doesn't have to come into that location. So I would say the same to you, actually. Those are your only two options at that point.
But a pay-per-click, like I said, you can rank for those keywords. If you could talk about that, like a targeted approach.
Yeah. So paying for clicks with Google advertising, that's one way to do it as well. Of course, we don't know how well it would work when compared to Google My Business if we don't do a proper split test.
And we also need to understand your margins too, and the actual cost per click and cost per acquisition of a customer. Along, like if you were even to work with us or any other digital marketing agency, you would need to understand those numbers as well before you would launch a Google Ads campaign. For dry cleaning, I don't know your margins off the top of my head, but let's just say the cost per click is what, $10, and what would be your cost per click? What would be your average cost per transaction? And what would you be making?
Well, I mean, frankly, over time, a customer is worth thousands of dollars. So,
well, then maybe
we
that
don't
would be
mind
worth it to you.
paying.
That's something that I would definitely recommend. But the main thing is just generating business in your local area and taking advantage of that search volume. So you're located in Citrus Heights, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Citrus Heights Dry Cleaners has a considerable amount of search volume. So even ranking for that is going to get you a lot of foot traffic into your doors, especially if you're ranking #1 for that keyword. So that would be the first place that I would start out at. And then if you felt that a Google paid advertising campaign for like, I guess 10 or 15 square mile area from your location is beneficial, that is definitely something I would recommend. But you would need
We would need to have a conversation.
Yeah, we need to have a conversation
Yeah.
about that, to look at your numbers to make sure that you're getting that return on ad spend, because that's the biggest deal.
Okay.
Does
We
that
can
answer
cover
your
that
question?
later. Yeah, it does. We can talk about it later. I just wanted to know if there was anything simple, but it sounds like there's not.
No, digital marketing, I mean, we're trying to make this as simple as we possibly can, but it's not a simple subject, Ben. It's not.
Right.
It's something that
Thank
takes years of experience and trial and error, and willing to live with that trial and error. So,
Right. All righty. Thank you.
does anybody else want to jump in, have any questions? Give it like 5-10 more seconds. And thank you, Ben, for asking that. I appreciate it.
All right, let's go.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move on, okay? All right, so now it's like, oh man, these guys told us all this stuff. Well, how do I actually do this, right? Here's 7 actionable things that you can actually start today, okay? 1, make the reviews count. This is really important. So you can get all the reviews all you want. That's great, but we need to make them count. All right, so we're gonna use our favorite example, Dr. Doug, as an example. So we want him to collect as many positive reviews as he possibly can. And the reason why is because potential customers always read them, okay? Because and you guys are customers too of other businesses. You want to look at what actual customers are saying. And the biggest thing is including that keyword in the review. So I've never been to a chiropractor. Once Google sees that, oh, that coincides with the review, it's very relevant, and then he has 32, so I'm going to go ahead and bump that up to #1. That's why in those computer repair examples, I'm sure there's tons of reviews that say computer repair service or any of their other main keywords, and that is what makes those reviews relevant. So, if you feel comfortable with it, maybe tell your customer, hey, say I saw, the dry cleaners, or I see Jessica's on here. I saw the t-shirt printer, or I saw, I went to the auto body shop, or I went the mattress removal, or whatever it is, and make sure they include that in your review, because that makes that review more powerful.
Like Dr. Doug is the best chiropractor in Citrus Heights.
He is.
That would be great.
That would be great. So everybody, a shout out Dr. Doug. I want you all to sign up with him and know he is the best chiropractor in Citrus Heights. And I actually mean that. But anyways, use the short link to share customers to leave reviews. And what you can do with that is in your Google My Business settings, it will allow you to create a short link. So his would be Dr. Doug. We can share that link later and how to build that, but you can actually make like a flyer or an email or put it on your business card and make it easy for your customers to share reviews. It's really important that you just keep sharing those reviews. The more and more reviews, the more quality ones, the better. Do you have something to say?
Yeah, just to be clear, it's not the short code is not for Dr. Doug. It's not just Dr. Doug. It's g.page/Dr. Doug/ something else. You would have to go into your own Google My Business account, and they'll prompt you, hey, you want to share your reviews? Well, at first they're going to give you a default short name that you probably don't want. It's just a mix of numbers and letters.
Yeah.
But you can update that.
Yeah, you want to make it relevant to your business. So like for Ben, his business is Judy's Cleaners. So you put g.page/Judy's Cleaners or whatever your business name is relevant. Or maybe even your name if you feel your customers relate with that. Next one. Oh, and another thing I wanted to add as well of how this ties back to the importance of this. So review signals in those previous slides that we showed, 15%, this is an importance of ranking your Google My Business. So very important ranking factor in that review diversity. So not only chiropractor, it can be treated my sciatica or me personally, my plantar fasciitis, oh my God, my feet were in so much pain and now I'm a normal person 3 months later. All right, personal testimonial. But anyways, tip 2, integrate appointments. So some businesses this may work for, some businesses doesn't really necessary, but still important. So if you know a restaurant or when we're able to, if you're a barber or whatever it is, you can actually include some of these integrations through Google on your Google My Business. And this, gives that customer another opportunity to go ahead and interact with your Google My Business. When you have that happen, that's where Google sees it like, oh, wow, this is a really helpful resource. Now I'm going to move this even higher up the list, which is ultimately what we want. And that falls under number 7, personalization. Not the hugest ranking factor, but you want to do everything you can in order to make that a helpful resource to potential customers. Tip number 3, optimizing your description. That's something you're definitely going to want to do, okay? And we're going to explain how we did it. So 1, you need to make this sound as natural as possible, but make it Google friendly, okay? So who's the best chiropractor near me? Mr. Dr. Doug Uller. He's been specialized in chiropractic for over 20 years. He's located at this address, similar to the GMB. And then he treats all of these things that we also found right here, sciatica, that other GMB ranking factor. So when you see that, we include those keywords and that has a possibility to pop up, or any of the other things that you may treat. So for example, I believe the other doctor, and I don't know your last name, I can't pronounce it, but maybe teeth whitening, braces, root canal, all these other things, you would include that in your Google My Business or any of the other categories that you may serve, and make sure to include that in there. The better it sounds, the more natural it sounds, the more of a ranking factor this is going to be. And that's the biggest one. Google My Business signal, keyword and business title, proximity categories, 25%. So this is something you guys need to nail down. You can do yourself, okay?
That includes the business description.
Yeah, that includes the business. And this, what we just showed you was the business description. So make sure when you do that, make it very detailed, take your time, and really, really think this through because it's very important. Tip number 4, optimize your pictures. Okay, so in Dr. Doug's Google My Business profile, he has pictures of his office. But what you want to make sure is you optimize those pictures with your main keywords. So for Ben from Julie's Cleaner, I would assume his main keyword would be dry cleaner Citrus Heights. You can also look that up as well to determine what your main keyword may be. you can look these up for free on ubersuggest.com and type in what you think it may be. Now, let me take some time to actually explain how that works, okay? What you would do is you're going to go to ubersuggest.com. It will have the search bar, type in your city, and then the category that you serve. For this example, it would be chiropractor, or it'd be Citrus Heights dry cleaners, or it would be t-shirt printing, or Citrus Heights dentists, or whatever it may be. And make sure you include a variation of these keywords in that Google My Business description that give that the possibility for maximum appearance. Go ahead.
Well, also, right, like you were saying, for your images, you want, when you start, let's say you just got an image from your photographer that just took pictures of you and your team, for example. When you save that file onto your computer, before you upload it onto your website that's associated with your Google My Business, and even before you upload it to Google My Business itself, you should do both. That file name should be Citrus Heights Chiropractor, or it should be Pest Control in Roseville. It should be Dentist in Roseville, or Dentist near me. Those type of variations, because Google is a robot. Even they crawl the internet, they crawl the meta information that are associated with digital files like images.
Brett, are you guys there? Frozen? We're all frozen.
We lost the audio.
Okay. I was just told that there was a loud bang off of San Juan and Greenback, and all the electricity is down. So I don't know. In fact, I'm.
Sorry, guys, we accidentally disconnected from that. We'll be back in. Oh, that's why our Wi-Fi disconnected. Oh, okay. Give me a second, guys.
While we're waiting, I just want to say, Ben, I love your
Might just have to switch
services.
back. Yeah, we're just gonna switch to that computer.
Who was that? Was that
digital
Ray?
marketing guy, so I'm
That
gonna
was
email-
Ray. Yes,
trying
thank
to
you.
Figure out this.
Thank you, Ray.
Um,
We appreciate the business.
Can everyone hear us? Leave something in the comments if you can.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay, share screen.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
All right, cool. I know everyone can see us now. Okay. All right. So tip number 5, name, address, and phone number. So when it comes to that, you want to make sure it's consistent across the board. So you notice Dr. Doug's Google My Business account profile, we're going to have this address, but we're going to make sure to include it as the same exact thing in the Yellow Pages directory, the MapQuest, Sunrise Marketplace, Citrus Heights Town Center, everything that is relevant to his business. And that includes Facebook, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. That is very, very important that you guys make sure this same address is 100% across the board, because Google does look at that. Even if it's STEA, that little detail really does matter. So maybe get together with your team and say, hey, what are all of the directories or all of the things that I'm on? And let's make sure that we do a thorough walkthrough of making sure it's all complete, because sometimes you may have had an old phone number that you did not change. And that's why it's important that you have that available. All right. Citation signals. So that's actually going to be a part of that's 10% of it. So your citations, like I said, that's 10% of the ranking factor, and it all adds up. Okay. Tip number 6. Okay, this one everyone's going to like. How do we spy on your competitors' Google My Business hidden categories? Okay. how we do that is you're going to go ahead and click on their Google My Business listing. So for example, use the computer repair example. So this is kind of techy. I'm going to try to go slow, and if you need to take notes, please do, and I can explain it afterwards as well. So you would click on this, and you would right-click your mouse. Oh, go ahead, John.
So before you right click on the mouse, what you have to do is you have to see what your competitor is what's his category. And Google My Business will display one category per business. But the thing is, Google My Business lets you choose at least 10 additional Google My Business categories,
Okay.
but they don't show them all publicly. So how do you find out what those other Google My Business categories are? What you do is you go to their map listing, and then you right click and take it away.
Yeah, so then you right click view page source, okay? And then once you click view page source, all these codes are going to pop up and everyone's going to freak out. Like, oh my God, what did I just do? I caused a virus on my computer, okay? No, you did not cause a virus on your computer, okay? All these things will pop up, and what you're going to do is you're going to press Control and F, okay? On your keyboard, okay? Don't say F out loud. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so when you do that, it will highlight all of the other categories that are hidden, which is really important.
Because you can go back.
Because then you can go back in your Google My Business account profile and then add those other categories, so now you're on the same level as your competitor. And you found that out by yourself. It's so awesome that you can actually do this. You really can't hide. It doesn't matter if they're $1 million company, whoever they are, you can still do this yourself. And that's the power of digital marketing. That's also that is the most important Google My Business signal, because you're finding your categories. And when you find those categories and list them, now you have even more of a shot of getting that #1 spot. And that's what we all want online. Last but not least, generate more activity towards your Google My Business in such a discreet way. And I think I kind of touched on this throughout the webinar, but here's the last one. Okay, so we want to trick Google. And how do we do that? You can generate more and more activity by sharing your G.page link through email, social, and traditional face-to-face marketing. When you do things like that, that shows Google, wow, people are really interacting with this page. Okay, well, if a lot of people are interacting with it and I have no idea where they're coming from, well, I'm going to go ahead and move that up my Google Maps ranking list. You can do that through your email. You can do that through your email signature like that. You can do that through social. So let's just say, hey, it's Small Business Saturday or Sunday or whatever we call it. And we want to go ahead and put this on our Facebook. Can we make sure to go ahead and leave a review if you've done business with this person, if you feel comfortable, of course.
Or even just sharing your Google My Business URL. You don't have to share the review link.
Yeah.
Just social engagement with your Google My Business profile.
Yeah, and then they see what you're all about, especially if you filled it all out. And the last thing, traditional face-to-face marketing, which I hope will be happening soon. So when you hand out your card or whatever it may be, make sure that you use that and you say, hey, all my information about my business is on this QR code on my business card, and do it that way. All right. So now it's included in social signals, not the highest level of importance, but every little bit counts. And I think we all know that as business owners. All right. So last thing, we did this for a reason. For the 10 or so people that are on this webinar, we truly, truly appreciate you taking now the 41 minutes and 42 seconds to listen to us. Okay. Our purpose today is to see small businesses win, because that's what we all need right now. Okay. What we're going to go ahead and do is we want to be that resource in our community. Okay. And how we're going to do that is we're going to give you the opportunity to know what exactly you need to do as a business owner. in order to succeed online. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to post this in the chat in just a minute, is visit this website, okay? And this is just our contact form. And just let us know, hey, I want you to audit my Google My Business. I will go ahead personally and let you know what is wrong with the Google My Business and what you can do yourself in order to improve it. And we'll be very thorough about it because, like I said, guys, we truly want to see you win. I believe there may be a few questions in the chat.
Let me post this real quick.
Okay, John's going to go ahead and post that link right now. So just make sure to click on it, okay? Now, we're going to open it up to questions. Please hit us with the hardest ones you have. It's really fun, okay? So yeah, that was our webinar for today. Thank you again for everyone who joined. And yeah, give me a second.
I'm not seeing anything just yet. And feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question too.
Yeah.
Well, not so much a question. I mean, you guys focused on my website. You guys do my SEO. I had people doing SEO on my website before I met you guys, and it's been a lot better
So far.
So, thank you.
Thank you guys for doing this. I learned a bunch of things, and I'll get you. I'll fill the form out and get the free audit going.
Yeah, Ben, I think you're trying to say something. I can't hear you though.
I said I will go ahead and fill the form out and get the free audit going, and I really appreciate you guys doing this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, John. I do want to let everyone know that I did record this segment or the Lunch and Learn. And so if you want to, and I will put my email address in the chat. So if you want a copy of it, let me know and I can email this to you.
Thank you.
Yes, as soon as I figure out how to do this publicly. Okay, everyone publicly.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you guys for jumping on. I really appreciate it. And then that link below in the chat, if you guys want that free Google My Business audit, we're more than happy to extend that your way. Oh, hey, Joyce. How you doing? But yeah, does anybody else have any questions before we log off?
I have a quick question. Since I had to work and I couldn't get off my business call until 12:30, I missed all the first stuff. Have you recorded this by any chance?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. I know, right?
So I can tell you already I need a little help, but
okay. Yeah, just click on the link and fill that out for us, and we'll get to that shortly. Okay.
And Diane has a video record.
Yeah, that's what she said. Diane, do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't. Okay, no, that isn't true. I have lots, but too many to ask. So I too am going to fill that out, and hopefully you guys can help us. But
Okay.
there's a lot of information, and like you said, the first one I'm going to do is at least look at our website and go through all of those keywords.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important that you have maximum appearance on Google.
Yes.
Get that done, okay. And yeah, that's all we got. And then personal thank you, Doug. Doctors, I'm gonna take a stab at it.
Selvanathan.
Salvanathan. All right, that's what I'm gonna go with, and I hope I got that right.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
Oh, I did? Oh my gosh. Okay, can you clarify in your question you asked?
Sorry. What?
The question you asked in the chat?
Yeah. What about that?
Yeah, could you clarify what you mean about the Google My Business like listing number being removed or blocked? What did you mean by that?
Oh, we just get this frequent calls saying, the phone calls always say your Google business is in risk of being removed, and so I always disconnect the call, but I don't know if that's a valid concern. Does Google even do that? Because I claim my business, and I'm going to look into all the other factors that you talked about and make sure that it's filled out to that. But do they actually remove your listing?
Yeah, well, that could be a spam call or a spam call that tricks you into doing either giving them money or just becoming their client. But what you can do is go into your Google My Business account and see if your account is still verified, which I'm assuming it is. That's probably just a scare marketing tactic.
Okay.
And if it still says verified there, you should be good to go. Google My Business wouldn't do that. They usually communicate through email. That said, you can also check, there's a Google My Business contact information. If you want, you can, we don't have it right now, but I can look for the link. In the past, I have been able to get people on the phone from Google My Business, but it's pretty hidden, and I doubt, I'm not sure how things are working right now over there with COVID right now.
Okay, I will check and then contact you if I need that listing phone number. But what is your phone number? I'm sorry, I was in and out, so I'm not sure if you had given out your phone number.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think everyone. Our phone number is, I'm going to post that in the chat. And you can call us anytime.
This is where that control copy comes in handy.
All right. So, all right. Did you see that, Doctor?
Yes. Yes.
Did.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Cool. All right. Yeah. So contact us anytime or visit us at our website, instinctmarketing.co. We're always able to help, and just make sure to fill out that Google My Business thing. Okay. But yeah, that's all I got. Jessica, do you have anything for us? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and end the webinar. Once again, I appreciate everybody jumping on. You guys have